Road to Avonlea's success as an ongoing one-hour series really evolved because it had such easy parameters around it. There were no specific requirements other than to have guest stars attached to the series that were presented to us by the Disney Channel. But almost all of the episodic development was based on the personal choices of myself as a supervising producer and working with the writers. So we would have enormous sessions of where we thought the series should go. But if anyone had ever asked me at the beginning of any particular season what will happen in this season, I'd say I have absolutely no idea. It will just evolve. And the series really did evolve in a very organic way. It allowed us to tackle all kinds of different subject matter, some very dramatic, some very comical, some very difficult subject matter as well, where Rachel Lynde, for example, has a stroke in this season. So the parameters for season 6 were based on the fact that Sarah Polley was only available for one episode. Gus Pike, Michael Mahonen, was only available because of his busy schedule for a couple of episodes. So it really allowed the other characters within the cast to be expanded upon, and the relationships that happened internally in the King family, Hetty's relationship with Rachel, Felicity's kind of independence growing up were the key areas that we focused on. We had an opportunity to really develop Davy and Dora's characters because they had started to grow up all of a sudden and they were being cared for by Rachel. It was easy to take them and to try and build some interesting storylines around their lives. So Davy and Dora really became the juvenile leads in the Rose Cottage household, and there was lots of story development that we ended up working out around them. Not having Sarah as an ensemble member of the cast really changed the dynamics. Sarah had been contractually obligated to be in every single episode for the first 5 seasons, and she was finding it quite a load to bear, particularly as she had her high school studies and other movie commitments that she was interested in being involved in. So we were able to work out an arrangement with her over season 6 and season 7 where she would still continue to be in the show, but we reduced her number of episodes to a slim number. That meant that the storylines really were relegated to significantly developing the other characters.
The most important person in the world to me.
Season 6 also dealt with a lot of very serious issues because there were a number of dramatic opportunities that we discovered amongst potential of the characters. In particular, Rachel having a stroke. That episode occurred when I had met a very close friend of mine who was in her 60s who had suffered a stroke. And I met her at a cocktail party, and she had, over the past year and a half, taught herself how to speak again. She spoke fluidly and easily, but with a slight hesitation like that. I found it intriguing that she was able to completely re-energize herself and come back to reality. So we thought that maybe it would be interesting if that same sort of thing happened to Rachel. Pat Hamilton being such an accomplished actress, we really wanted to give her a meaty role to play. So we actually introduced Pat to my friend, and that's where the beginning of the episode lay. And it was in their dialogue with each other about the experience of having a stroke that we developed that episode around Rachel.
Here.
As a result of Harmony Cramp leaving the cast in season 5, it meant that we were ready to recast Cecily's role in season 6. The device of having Cecily get tuberculosis and go off to a sanitarium really was a plot device to cover the change in recasting. It provided a terrific opportunity for Molly Atkinson, who came in to play Cecily, to get her hands on an incredibly meaty role, because not only was she recovering from tuberculosis, but she had to deal with the immediacy of the death of her friend and how that affected the rest of the King family. My least favorite Avonlea episode is Gus being lost at sea, because in some ways it underscores the melodrama of 1 hour series, and Avonlea suffered from that, I think. It was unfortunate not to be able to have Mike Mahonen in at least one other episode of the series, because even though we do the opening episode with Gus and his mother, because he's lost at sea, it leaves Felicity on a great cliffhanger. That's one of the unfortunate things about limitations, is that you sometimes stumble into melodrama.
Felicity, come back! Come back! Felicity!
One of the most challenging things about Avonlea was developing episodes for stunt casting, where we would ask a big star to come and join the cast. It meant that we would have to develop the episode exclusively around their character, and it also meant that we had to write a script that was almost like a film script that would attract someone significant to be able to play those parts. So in the case of Faye Dunaway and Maureen Stapleton, we had a really interesting dynamic going on between each of those actors, but when the script was written, we didn't know that they would be playing those parts. Maureen Stapleton had been a great friend of Colleen Dewhurst and loved the show, and when we put out the offer to her, she was thrilled to be able to accept, because she'd loved it for many years. And then lo and behold, a spot suddenly became available in Faye Dunaway's busy movie schedule, and she read the script, loved the role, and was interested in doing something that was big period family drama. So the combination of those two actresses together was really something special. The biggest significant change in season 6 was that we were really able to develop a lot of new romance within the course of the series, particularly between Izzy and Felix. Simon Tremaine and Hetty made a great comic romantic duo. Okay, and the relationship between Clive Pettibone and Muriel Stacy, which had been formal up to then, suddenly had an opportunity to blossom into this big romance, and they became a wonderful couple to develop for. So we had all these different dynamics and relationships going on. Felicity becoming her own person in the absence of Gus, 3 new romances to develop, Cecily coming home from a sanatorium. So each one of those tent poles impacted on each other, and that became fairly significant when you look at how an ensemble develops together on screen. Despite the melodrama that was built into the plot regarding Gus being lost at sea, all of these other wonderful tent poles reverberating off of each other really identify the strength of the series. It was really the ability to accomplish some wonderful, solid scripts and to have them performed by really significant actors that made the series so fresh and real. And I think that despite its failings from time to time, it still maintained its purpose, which was to explore a wonderful family drama with a wonderful ensemble of players.
I say it's grand.